And everybody knows most of you, but we're going to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. What we're going to do is we're going to work from the first all the way around, just like we did with the school board. You're going to be able to speak for 3 minutes, tell a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to go to the questions. We have one question that you will all answer, and then we will each receive a question that's done on the lottery system. So, let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to let Clegg, you want to go ahead and start? Now let me warn you guys, if you turn the mic like this, because those are cheap mics, I got the expensive. Okay, so if you turn the mic this way, we can't hear you. Speak directly into the mic like this, and we can hear everything you say, okay? So go ahead, Clegg.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule to come here and attend. My name is Clegg DeWalt. My family we moved back here in 1971. My dear friend Neil Smith likes to say I'm not a native Trinityite, but the DeWalts have always owned property in Trinity County for 120 plus years. So we've lived here permanently since 1971 because my father was in the oil industry and we traveled all over the United States of America. I'm married, my wife and I have been married for 42 plus years. We have 2 sons, Clegg Edward DeWalt II and Cole Edwin DeWalt, both graduates of Trinity High School. I graduated from Sam Houston State University as my alma mater. I have a bachelor, a BBA. I've been on the City Council for 12 years, a member of the Economic Development Board. I will be employed by Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Business and Finance Division, Accounting and Business Services for 40 years. I am the supervisor of compliance and review. It's auditing services. My staff and I travel the state of Texas from Dalhart in the north to Edinburgh in the south, Beaumont in the east, to El Paso in the west. We, on a 3-year period, audit 105 CID facilities for financial operations to ensure that the current policies, procedures, rules, and regulations are adhered to in financial matters. I'd like to tell you some things about the current Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. Well, I'm sure we're going to hear sometimes during this presentation, it's kind of a tired statement, but be proactive instead of reactive. The present City Council, Mayor Pro Tem, and Mayor have been proactive in the following areas. When the current administration took over 4 years ago, the city was $100,000 in deficit. We were operating on borrowed money. We did our due diligence and we looked to see how we could rectify that situation. Besides taxation, there's only 3 money sources for any municipality. That is water sales, sewer, and garbage pickup. 4 years ago, half of the water meters in the city of Trinity were inoperable. They weren't calculating the actual usage, so we were losing money. We borrowed $750,000, implemented a citywide water meter system, automated water meter system, which is netting, I tend to round as an accountant, which is netting $30,000 a month in revenue. Mayor Huffman, Mayor Pro Tem, have signed within the last month $5 million worth of federal grants. We're going to use that money to improve our water distribution systems.
That's a stop. That's a stop.
That's 3 minutes?
That was 3 minutes. We call that a hard stop.
Good evening, I'm Scott Womack. I live in Trinity most all of my life. The first time I moved here was in '74, and the final time I moved here was in '81. I've been married for 23 years to Beth Huffman Womack. We have 4 children that all graduated from Trinity, and I have 6 grandchildren that 2 of which are going to school here now. And the reason I'm running for city council is for them. My kids, my grandkids, your grandkids. Our infrastructure in Trinity is crumbling. The water system, the sewer system, the roads, the ditches, drainage, equipment is crumbling to pieces. I have no doubt that the current council is going to address these. The thing we must address is preventing these things from happening again. It doesn't do a lot of good to spend $750,000 on roads to go back in a few years and spend another $750,000 on the same roads. We've got to fix the problems, prevent them from happening. And the biggest asset the city has is the employees. The employees, I'm 100% for paying employees a living wage. I'm for paying an employee that's worth $10 an hour, $10 an hour. But I'm also for paying an employee that's worth $15 an hour, $15 an hour. You pay people what they're worth, and you attract people to work here. Make it a good working environment. Get rid of the hostilities, and make it an environment where people want to come to work. Because like I say, we have a future in Trinity. You look up here, there's empty buildings all over Trinity. And they can be filled with businesses, but the infrastructure has to be fixed first. Nobody's going to move here if they don't have good drinking water or they don't have good sewer. They're not going to move here if they don't have decent roads to drive on. You grow by your foundation, and that's where your foundation is. So I believe the future in Trinity can be bright, but I believe we also need to change the way we're doing things, quit looking into the past or the way we've always done it, and say, we're going to do it a different way. We're going to move with the times, get away from the old way, move into a new way, and get things accomplished to improve this city, not only for now, but for the future. Thank you.
I like to stand up and look at people when I talk, and I wrote my speech out, so if that's okay, I'm just going to read it because I feel like there's some good information. My name is Jason Neal Smith. Many of you know me as Bubba. I'm 39 years old and have resided in Trinity all my life. My parents are Neil and Kay Smith. I have one sister, Shay Smith Dilda. I'm married to Rosalina Smith. We have 3 children, Daniel, Joel, and Sophia. The ages are 24, 22, and 20. My sons are currently in the United States Air Force stationed in Oklahoma, California, while my daughter works and lives in Dallas. While in high school, I worked for Lyle and Susie Stubbs at the Stubbs Chemical and Feed. After graduating high school in May 2001, I attended Angelina College and Sam Houston State University. I have an associate's degree in criminal justice. In June 2001, I began my career with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I have been correctional officer with the TDCJ for 21 years this June. I'm currently the major of correctional officers at the Duncan unit in DeWalt. I've also been a proud member of our Trinity Volunteer Fire Department for the past 17 years, and for the past 4 years I've been honored to serve here as the city councilman. When I was first elected to the council, the city was experiencing many financial problems, as Clegg alluded to. The current council and I knew that we were going to have to make some drastic changes to correct our imperfections. Our police chief stepped up to the plate and served as our city manager as well, and he, along with the council and the mayor, we began to brainstorm and discover avenues that would assist the city in getting back on track. We as a group have helped the city recover financially. There are numerous challenges that the city has faced while I've been on the council. I could sit here for hours and talk about them, so it won't do any good. But what I can tell you is the most challenging obstacle that we have faced has been the water system, which is safe to drink. We have a water system that is very old and could cost the city millions of dollars to completely restore. We've been communicating with engineers and experts, as my cousin likes to say, to improve the system. We have been awarded a grant for approximately $4 million that will improve our water system where we feel the root of the problem is. I assure each of you that we are working diligently to correct the water system and keep the water safe. It is our main priority, while we must continue to repair other issues as they arise. Preventative maintenance is of high importance. Each of us that are running for this position have a vision for the city, and it's your decision as a citizen to decide whose vision you want to follow. While my father is my best friend, mentor, and certainly a hero, I am able to separate my personal matters with my professional responsibilities. I was elected to serve the people of Trinity, and I make decisions based off of myself, not anyone else's ideas. I look at pros and cons in each decision, and I follow my heart. And I close with this. I was raised to love God, my family, and Trinity, and that's what I live by. Thank you for your support.
How y'all doing? My name is Willie Evans. I've been a citizen residence here. Tomorrow make 41 years.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. You know what? I have a speech. I'm not going to use it, just top of my heart. The reason why I want to be a city councilman is simple. I love our small town values. I take them with me wherever I go, big cities, wherever. I wave at everybody. Sometimes it get me in trouble. Why are you waving at them? That's where I grew up. But I also believe you can have small town values and grow your city, as Mr. Womack said. It's a lot of empty buildings that we could have a lot of different things. Like, I believe we can have an outdoor theater here. We have enough space. Outdoor theaters, you can have music festivals, movie festivals, art festivals, just for the arts. You know, I believe in growing our city by just simple things like changing the basketball court. Make it to where kids want to go out there and stay. Because I know once I grew up, graduated in 2000, I was out of here. Because it wasn't nothing for me here. No jobs, nothing. So I believe the old saying, if you build it, they will come. So why not build something for our future generation? Because like I said, we're here. I want to do something for your grandchildren, my grandchildren, to want to come and get a small town value, learn to love each other, speak and talk to each other with respect, but also have the means to live a stable and successful life. I went to the Ocean Corporation. I was a commercial diver for 5.5 years. I couldn't weld underwater. I'm very big on trades. College is not for everyone. So that is one of my things. I would love to see, I heard one of the councilmen say, one of the city boardmen say, we have vocational classes in high school. Well, that's nice, but I also would love to see it progress until a vocational school to bring in people. Because if you bring in 20 students, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come with a wife. So that's 40 people coming in. So now them 40 people, what do they need? They need a house. Unless they're going to live in the shack with me. But, you know, they're going to need a house. So now you got 40 people that need a house. So now what you need to do? Build. Thank you. Houses. And there you go. That's another avenue of revenue. You know, that's another stream of revenue. So now when them 40 people come in, they're coming in with 40 different skill structures. So now they need somewhere to work. If you have jobs.
Good evening, everybody. Let me say that again. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, that tells me y'all sleepy, so I won't bore you too long. But as many of you know, my name is Christopher Dennis, Christopher Lane Dennis. I'm from Conroe originally. Conroe is my hometown. I'm a transplant. This is my mother's hometown, and that's why I fell in love with it. I came here in 1965, and I've been here ever since. My darling wife, Miss Sharon Dennis, right here, my better half, the straw that stirs my tea. Stand up, darling. She go bad. But that's my darling wife. We have 3 children. My eldest daughter, Christiara, she gave us 4 grandkids, twins. They're in high school right now. Lord willing, they'll graduate next year. I have a 5th grader and a 1st grader, grandbaby. It hadn't been tough living here. I've always enjoyed it. I went to school with some people. Martha here was my classmate. Keith is my classmate. Billy is my classmate. So we're a tight-knit community here. We all grew up together. But yes, we have some issues. We have some issues. And oh, by the way, my son Lane, He's a firefighter for the Dallas Fire Department. My baby girl is an inspector for TxDOT. She was a Dallas police officer, but she transferred everything over. So she works for TxDOT now. I'm a retired Houston firefighter. About 24 years, I think I put into that department. But I'm retired now. Yes, we have some issues here. Water and roads, I think I heard somebody talk about. Those are pretty big, maybe the two biggest. The infrastructure, we see that. I've been on this council for 22 years. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Yes, there are some things we can change. We can change some of the things that we used to do. That's what we fight for. But as a councilman, we have to work together. We have to work together. One person doesn't make all the decisions. It's a group effort, and that's where we are. And I noticed on your flyer, it said in this political season. I'm not so much concerned about the political season as I am about the politics within the city. For years, it's just been like a one-way thing. You know, one person, two people ran the entire city. We can't work like that. If we're going to move forward, and we can do it, we can move forward together. We have to do it together or it won't work. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Martha Elliott Gray, and I'm excited to be your candidate on the City Council of my hometown in Trinity. I was born in Trinity, and my family has been here for 6 generations, all having a business within the city and being successful business owners. I am retired now with the University of Texas Medical Branch as a nurse, and I'd like to go ahead and get into my speech. As a nurse, I feel our city has been in an emergency mode. And I feel like that it's time for our city to be revived. Working for the University of Texas Medical Branch, corporations create administrations to develop policies and procedures for a well-structured management. A structured management is to ensure and protect corporations where there are no mistakes. Office management and procedures with continuing education is another integral part of a successful structured management working toward its goals. Our number one goal is to drink good, clean, safe water. It is time to implement structured policies and new workable plans and get back to proven facts for progress and success for Trinity and its people. It is necessary to begin with good sound policies for a structured management and to build on facts proven over and over again for a new prosperous Trinity. Thank you very much.
Okay, just like with the school board, we have one question, and several of you touched on it in your speeches, but we have one question for each one of you to answer, and you each have 2 minutes to answer it. And we'll begin with Clegg. The question is, infrastructure is a huge topic right now. Name the 2 that you feel are the most important and why.
Ladies and gentlemen, that 3 minutes passed so quickly a while ago. I was going to tell y'all that in December of 2020, a 40-year contract with the Trinity River Authority expired. They cut off our water, okay? We entered into a new 35-year program. I think water distribution is number 1, and then roads number 2 in this question, but I will expound on what I just said. In December of last year, we entered into a 35-year contract with Trinity River Authority. So for the next 35 years, the citizenry of Trinity will be guaranteed good, clean water to drink. We went through a problem back in December with boiled water notice. So we, the mayor pro tem, and the city council, we got together, worked together as a team, and we said, hey, we want to resolve this issue. We're not shopping price here. We spent $200,000 on improving the chlorination systems out on the Whitson wells, south of town on the Whitson farm. I round as an accountant, 40% of the water for the city of Trinity is provided by the Whitson farms, 60% is provided by Trinity River Authority. As you come into town on the right-hand side, headed north, you'll see a bunch of mud and dirt and construction going on there. We're excited. We're trying to tie that pipeline coming in from Trinity River Authority plant into the city of Trinity, so Trinity can be provided 100% of their water needs. That way we can shut those Whitson wells down, do some preventive maintenance, and not have to pull them so hard, because water wells, like all wells, can be pulled until the sand comes in and they won't produce any longer. Let's tie that TRA line in. Let's use it 100%, because we pay a little over $60,000 a month, and we're purchasing everything they produce. And I'd just like to share with y'all the Trinity River Basin, TRA, provides water to 4 counties in the city of Houston. Had we not entered into that contract, Houston might be buying our water.
All of the infrastructure we have is very important. You can't have one without the other. But water obviously is one of the biggest important pieces that we need. Without water, we have nothing. I mean, people can drive on dirt roads if they absolutely have to, but you can't live without water. So good, clean drinking water is key. Like Clegg was saying, the wells provide quite a bit of water for Trinity, about 40%. But they're also not just the wells, it's the pipeline, the pipes that's in the ground. A lot of the city of Trinity is on PVC, but a huge part of the city of Trinity is on steel pipes that have been in the ground for years. And a lot of that discoloration that people see is coming out of those steel pipes. Now, changing those pipes out is not going to be an easy project, but it's something that will have to be done for Trinity to be able to grow. That's one of the things that needs to be done. The other thing, obviously, would be, the biggest one you see is roads. And like I said, roads is very important, but sewer is equally as important. The problems that have had at the sewer plant over the last few years have been phenomenal, expense-wise and potential for hazards. The wastewater treatment plant, the manholes, the pumps that are in the manholes need to be maintained, not just fixed when they break. The time of putting a Band-Aid on it and going to the next project has got to stop. We need to fix things, fix them properly, then go to the next project. We're spending more money on a Band-Aid than we would be a cast. Thank you.
To the answer to the question, of course, water is the most important thing that we deal with. As Scott said, roads, people can drive on dirt roads. Of course, we don't want that. That's a high importance. But I think that more importantly than that is the sewage system, because that's human waste. And at some point, we have made some difficult decisions, but we've made some bad decisions in the past that could have gotten us in a lot of trouble with ECQ, who governs our water and our wastewater. But we have improved that. Now, our water as well, we have improved. As I noted earlier, we did get a $4 million grant that will assist us in changing our tanks, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months. Our water's going to be better because of it. As Clegg said, we did get our full contract with TRA. TRA was broken down into 6 entities at one time: Groveton, Glendale, Westwood Shores, Trinity Rural, ourselves, and Riverside. And when it came time to do a contract, they all backed out. So we were stuck with, what do we do? Well, it cost us about $8,000 a month more to have 100% of the water, where we were at 54%. So I think we made the right decision by just going ahead and paying that extra and having 100% for us to have water for the next 35 years. Another thing is we were spending close to $6,000 a month repairing trash trucks. Sanitation's a pretty big deal. I had quite a few people come to me and say, hey, this is ridiculous. I pay a bill. I expect to have my services. Well, that's what we've done. We went out and we leased us a truck. It's $5,100 a month, but that'll be, every year we can get a brand new truck at $5,100 a month, where we were spending close to $6,000 on repairs. It saved us. It makes sense. That made sense.
It's very short, huh? I agree with what Bubba said. I'm sorry, I know Miss Bubba. That I know a lot of people have sewage problems. I know, especially on my side of town, with the pipes. Those pipes have been down since I think my dad said 1970s, 1980s. I know we have a lot of water problems. So that's one thing I'm really big on maintaining and keeping the pipes clean. Make sure that all the safety, because I'm very big on safety, all the safety qualities are met. Then also it comes with the trash, because like Bubba said, when you put your trash out on Wednesday, you come out at 10 o'clock. You expect for it to be gone if you put it out the night before. But sometimes 1, 2 o'clock. And then sometimes they come through in a dually in a gooseneck. I mean, I understand you have to do what you have to do, but basic sanitary maintenance, basic sanitary cleanness, that's what I mean, everybody knows about the water, so it's no use to be to harp on the water. I mean, it's nothing we can do. I mean, it's something we can do, but everybody's harping on it. I really harp on is the sewage system and the sanitaries. And maintenance, I mean, not the sanitary, maintenance, the sanitary. That's my two biggest things.
You getting his time or no?
No.
Oh, for his time?
Yeah, I'm not.
Getting his time?
Here's what is left.
We talk about infrastructure, we talk about the water, we talk about the roads, we talk about sanitation. There's one more I'd like to throw in there, and that's people. If I can get away with that one. Our mayor, because it got so bad one time that he was out there throwing trash up on the back of a flatbed. Yes. So imagine how that looked. We had to do something about the truck, so that's what we did. But, you know, we talk about infrastructure and what all needs to be done, and it's true, because the pipes have been underground, and those old clay pipes and steel pipes for 100 years or more. But at the end of the day, it takes money to buy land. And we have some problems here in Trinity, y'all brace yourself, that won't be fixed in our lifetime. But that doesn't mean we quit trying. Our city, as short-handed as our workers are, they do a good job. Our PD, they do a good job. I think they do. I would love to see 2 officers on shift all day instead of 1, especially on weekends. If we had something catastrophic, we're in trouble. I'd like to see the city work with the hospital, and let's get that going, because if nothing else, we can stabilize somebody until we lifeline them or get them to a better facility. Our schools, I'd like to see the city work with our schools to improve on different things. There are monies and grants and all kinds of stuff out there that we can write the grants. We can get the help. But short of raising everybody's taxes, which we haven't done, I think it's happened once since the mayor went back up there, we raised taxes. We don't want to do that. Our city is basically elderly people. It's the retirement town is what I like to call it. That's why I love it here. My wife tried to get me out in California years ago. But I like Trinity.
The 2 main problems, I've heard you right with the question, which are the 2 main problems in Trinity that is the most important?
That you feel are the infrastructure.
That you feel is the most important? Okay. Yes, of course, the water is the main problem that we have, and the reason I'm here is basically because of the water. I got involved back in 2020 when TCQ and KTRE were up here, and They were going around the city and taking samples. Yes, it is a very horrible situation. Yes, the infrastructure is very old, probably started maybe back in the 1930s. I know the gas was piped into my home, and my home is built in 1895. So the water probably wasn't very far from being put into the residential area. So yes, and then in 1970, we had water board, and we had licensed professionals that did also lay piping down throughout the city. So it has been worked on, and we're still working on it. And I think that imminent, and we need to really be working on it and get it finished as soon as possible. The second is the streets. Yes, of course, they're not in very good shape, period, at all. There's plenty of potholes, and so, yeah, that's another thing that's going to have to be taken care of. But we're going to have to go, I think our main thing here is going to be the water, and we need to focus on that. And from here on in, I believe that it's just not something that you can just go out and fix, but go by policies and procedures.
Okay. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier with the school board. You're each going to get 2 questions. I'm going to start with Clegg, and we're going to go this way around. The questions have been chosen by a lottery system, so once you get a question, we have no control over who gets what question. So Clegg, your question is, are there laws or an ordinance that are currently in place that you feel should be altered, removed, or added? And if so, what would that be?
That's an easy one for me. We have ordinances on the books for the city of Trinity, but they're not all enforced. When the present mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the city council, when we were operating under borrowed money, we identified how we could rectify that. So we did not replace some personnel when they left. We didn't replace the city secretary. We didn't replace the city public works. And we do not have an animal control officer in Trinity. There is an ordinance in the city of Trinity that animals are to be on leashes. I see dogs in my yard on a regular basis because the ordinances are not being adhered to. We need an animal control officer because on my street, right up the street from me, I have seen 2 or 3 generations of puppies being born to a female that was not spayed. There is also an ordinance on the book for the spaying of female dogs, and they're to be kept out of the public when they are going through their cycle. So if we're going to take the time to put ordinances on the books, let's enforce them. Let's not just load up the ordinances books in this city or any other city unless they're enforced. So we do not have an animal control officer, and we need one. Okay? Let's enforce the ordinances that are on the books.
All right. Scott, name one thing that you think could beautify downtown Trinity and draw in more business.
Well, one thing that can beautify downtown Trinity, the Economical Development Board voted on about 2 or 3 weeks ago to add some more awnings into the in between the red lights at 2 of our businesses. Other than that, I believe the one thing that would be more attractive to people coming just driving down the road would be pick up the trash, mow the side of the street, get the grass that's 3 foot tall out of the sidewalks. Take the buildings that are run down, enforce the codes that we already have in place, make the owners clean up their property or fine them until they decide to clean up their property. We have ordinance in places to make this city a beautiful place. We're not going to do it until we enforce the ordinances we have and make people keep their property clean. But in that same aspect, you look at some of the city's property, it's some of the worst looking property in the city. So that has to be cleaned up. You lead by example. You don't tell your neighbor to clean up his yard when you got 4 junk cars sitting in your yard.
Bubba, do you feel the community is involved with important decisions that affect the city? And how would you go about generating more involvement with your constituents?
Okay. Do I feel that the city is relatively involved? I would say not near as much as we should be as a citizen. And I'll say before I was a city councilman, I was involved, but it was because of the way I was raised and being on the fire department and stuff, you're close-knit with that. But we have started something that's working well, and we're in a world now where social media is taking over. And so we have started a Facebook page, and we do update our internet sites and things as well. But the way that we can get the community more involved is every time I get on one of these Facebook pages, that's what's happening in Trinity, I see the negative. You very seldom see the positive. But the positive outweighs the negative all day long in what we're doing. And I mean, I wish that I could get on there and say what I really feel sometimes, but it's best not to. But what I'll tell you is, to get involved, you have to be humble, and so many people aren't. You know, we don't get anything out of this. The only thing we get is that we are serving the people of the community because that's what we were born to do. You know, I always tell people in the work that I do that people are born every day, and they're born two ways. You're either a leader or a follower, and it's not bad to be either one. I'm a follower in a lot of things, but I'm a leader in others. And I believe that we have so many people that want to be leaders, but they don't know how to lead. And so therefore, all they can do is think of the bad instead of the good. But we should be able to communicate well, and as a council, I believe we should be very transparent with every decision we make. Just as you and I sat down one time before, and I was able to lay out everything that people may not know because you gave me that platform to tell. But it's nothing to hide.
Okay. Willie, do you know the financial state of the city of Trinity? And if you are elected, what would you do to operate efficiently and create a stronger financial status for the city?
Well, currently, I do not know the financial state of the city, but one thing I am big on, that I would work with my council members to find any and all money that we can, grants, funds, loans, to better our community. So, as of right now, no, I do not know the financial state of our town, but I'm willing to do my due diligence, search.
I had to go and eat this microphone. He's like, I'm sorry, y'all can keep, I stand up and talk. I don't need the microphone. I don't like talking with microphones. So
I would do my due diligence, and I would go and find, and like I say, research and find any and all available funds to make this city a beautiful place for everyone to live, thrive, and enjoy. So that's the honest truth right there.
Thank you. Okay. Chris? I'm sorry? All right. How do you feel about accountability and transparency? Give an example of how you can improve this in the future.
Accountability and transparency is key in anything that you do. If we don't owe each other anything else, we owe each other to love each other. And if we do that, then we can work together. We can communicate. We can sit down and fix any problem that we have. I don't have a problem communicating with anybody on the council. I don't have any problem communicating with anybody in the community, even if we disagree on whatever the issue may be. Like I said, I've been up here for a while. Everybody knows me. I know these guys. We have some disagreements. I'm not going to agree with everything that you do, and vice versa. But that's where it comes working together. That's where we can work together. We can fix it. We can agree to disagree. We can agree, and both of us get up and leave, and we don't be angry with each other. That's some of the things that have happened in this council, as most people know. We've had instances where folks get mad and hold grudges 40, 50 years, and I'm going to get you back and do this. It happens. Y'all don't look at me in that tone of voice. Y'all know what happens. happens. It happens here. That's not my thing. That's what they will say about me, if you ask them. But it's in us. We have to be accountable. We have to be accountable, and as a council member, I hold my fellow council members accountable. We hold each other accountable. And that's how it works. That's what I think about it.
And Martha, how can we entice new residents and visitors to relocate or to build in Trinity?
Well, first of all, we do have to get the water drinkable. Second of all, we have to clean up our town to make it presentable. Thirdly, I believe that there could be certain, to entice people to come here and give them incentives to want to open up a business and make it a lot easier for them, help them out, communicate with them, so we can have a better Trinity.
Okay. And back to Clegg. All right. We heard this question on the school board, and I'm going to make it just a little bit different. But in small towns, there's normal chatter, especially on social media, that causes conflict and torment. As a member of the city council, what is your method of conflict resolution?
Ms. Sharon, I'm the eternal optimist. I see the glass as half full as opposed to half empty, okay? And it's not just a catchword anymore in the business world. It ought to be in all of our dictionaries. Empathy. I should have empathy. I don't know what's going on in Billy's life. Billy doesn't know what's going on in my life. I should have empathy for every individual that I encounter. So if some act of kindness on my part can help them along a difficult situation, as a Christian, as a 30-year member of Calvary Baptist Church, we need to walk the walk as everybody proclaims to be a Christian. Let's walk the walk and talk the walk and treat each other with love and empathy.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Scott? Do you feel confident that you will be able to join the city council and utilize your skills in this position to enhance Trinity for the good and give an example of what you feel like you can do?
I believe I have really good skills that would benefit the Trinity City Council. And I'll use an example, not to, there's some of the ladies here tonight, but not to embarrass anyone. 6 years ago, I ran for the Republican chairman of Trinity County. And I'm not 100% sure, but I can pretty much guarantee you that one, maybe two of the current leaders voted for me. After 6 years, I've won over their trust. We've built a very strong bond. And a couple of years ago, I had, when I was with Ventura, we had an event down here for Christmas. And we needed help. We needed volunteers to help put this event on. I called one of our ladies. I said, I need your help. It was not what do you need, when do you need it, what's going on. It's when and where. We'll be there. And the reason was I do that because I was able to win them over and unify them by being honest with them, by telling them everything we want to do, lay out a game plan, and get that done. And throughout this time, we have done something that's never been done before. We give a $500 scholarship to a graduating senior from each school every year, and we have for the past, well, we skipped the COVID year, but we have for the past, I think we've done 4 years now, which we've given out over $8,000 in 4 years to graduating seniors from Trinity, and that's just because we were able to put a program together and make it happen. And that happened because of teamwork and trust.
All right. And I was at that function. Okay, let's see. Bubba? How do you see yourself being a greater asset to the city council and to the city of Trinity in the future?
Well, that's a tough question. You know, of course, with my job and my career, that I have to put a lot of time into it, but that's one thing. I work in DeWalt, so I'm already 45 minutes away, but I need to spend more time involved with the daily operations. You know, a lot of people don't understand how small cities work, but your city council makes a decision. Your mayor runs your daily operations along with the city manager and your police chief and whomever else, public works director. But one thing my hero tells me all the time is I'm not near as involved as I should be, and I know that I can put more time into it, and that would be the improvement that I have to make, because I love what I do and I love being a part of it, but I also know that the more that you put into something, the more you'll get out of it. And if I don't, I know that I can put more in. I'm not saying that I don't put time and effort into it, but what I'm saying is there's always room for improvement, and I'll never be perfect without striving for it.
All right, and Willie, I know that you've told us a little bit about yourself, but I want to ask, what skill set do you have that makes you a viable candidate for city council?
The skill set that I have to make me a viable candidate is I'm personable, which is actually a skill set. I know some people don't think it is, but it's actually a skill set. And I'm transparent. What you see with Willie is what you get. I'm not going to sit here and, like the question you asked me about the funds, I didn't know it. I didn't sit here and try to go around the counter and come back and waste 2 minutes. Nope, I didn't know it, so I told you. I'm very personable. I tend to get along with anybody. I try to get along with everyone. So as a city councilman, I am serving the city. So I should be able to come up to anyone in this room and have a 5 to 10 minute conversation. And if you ask me anything about the city council, what's going on with this, or my transparency comes in. We're doing this. This is the best we can do. This is what we got. This is what's going on. So for me, I'm very personable. I'm transparent. And I'm a hard worker also.
All right, thank you. Okay, for Chris, I want to ask, do you think that allowing new business in our community is economically stimulating and necessary, or do you think it can fundamentally wreck our small town way of life?
I think it depends on what kind of business you're talking about. If you're talking slot machines, I'm against that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But no, that will not wreck anything. Down here in this, what is it, Lyra? Is that the name of the street down here off of 230? Help me out here, dude. Lyra? Okay. That's a strip that can bring some more businesses here. It was actually designed to do that, but something happened along the way, and here we are. But that's what we've been talking about all night. I think with infrastructure and everything else is improving and making us attractive so we can draw other people in. Somebody said if you build it, they'll come. I've been hearing that since I was a kid, and it's true. It's all true. People will pay for what they want and for what they like. But you can't sell you can't sell a junkie junk. You know that you have to, if you put a good product out there, it'll sell. That's beautifying our city. The buildings in town up here, we have potential, but the ordinances that we have on the books, we're not enforcing and making the owners or whoever owns those buildings keep them clean. Fix them. If you're not going to put anything in it, at least don't let it be an eyesore when folks are driving through. Trinity used to be a pretty jumping town. Let me say it like that. When I first came here in '65, that's one of the other reasons I fell in love with the place, other than this being my mother's hometown. But we still have potential. There are a lot of things that we can bring in here. Like I said, down here, when Neil was on the council, what is it, Jack in the Box, McDonald's down here. There are a lot of things that we can do to improve our city, and I don't have all of the ideas. That's why we have to communicate. That's why we have to work together. I came up and I talked to Mayor Pro Tem concerning the city, and I think Bubba as well. We can make 4-quart quadrants and get a person from each quadrant.
That's it.
I'm taking some of Willie's, his
Okay, and Martha, last question. Would you be willing to implement term limits for both city council members and mayor?
Yes, ma'am, I would, and I believe that should be really everywhere. People get stagnant, they become complacent, and that's where you know, there's no new ideas coming in. So, yes, ma'am, I do believe there should be term limits.
All right. I want to thank you all for answering our questions and being so gracious about it. And we'll take, 5 minutes? 5 minutes, and we'll continue with the mayors, and it will, the mayoral candidates, and it will not take nearly as long because we have half the people. So y'all go ahead and take a break.